The first thing that you need to do in order to maximize your chances of improving your grade and getting a grade 9 is please don't make the same mistake I did. This is so ineffective, and at this point you're basically just asking for failure, so don't do this. The most important thing in achieving a grade 9 in your GCSEs is easy to feel like a failure when you get a grade that isn't a true reflection of your potential. It can be really painful and make you feel like you aren't good enough, like you aren't trying hard enough, like you're stupid, like you're dumb. You may feel really hard done by as you were spending more time revising than your friends and you still didn't get the grade that you want. Or you didn't revise that much at all, but you were still expecting to do well because you normally do well. Whatever criteria you fall in, I'm here to show you how you can reach your fullest potential and improve your grade before the real exam. Before we get straight into the video, be sure to smash the like button, comment and subscribe. As well as this, please share this video with a friend, a family member, a cousin, anyone, because it really helps support my channel and it helps me to make videos like this. Let's jump straight in. So step 1 is specification. Get your specification. I know if you've been watching my videos, you've seen that I've said this so many times, but it's because it's that important. If you don't have the specification bookmarked or printed out, then you're really shooting yourself in the foot. The specification is specifically made by people who create the exams in order to show you everything that could potentially come up in the exam. So by not knowing what you need to cover, you are basically limiting yourself already because you are leaving room for failure. Everyone is different, but what personally helped me was printing off the specification and taking things as I went on through the course. Anything that needed more attention, like I didn't understand it or I didn't know it, then I would highlight these points to cover in my revision sessions. The most important thing in achieving a grade 9 in your GCSEs is highlighting your weaknesses. Without this, you are leaving room for failure, you're leaving room for you to mess up, and this is just not ideal. You want to cover all of the specification and specifically target your weak points and the parts that you keep losing marks on in your exam. Without this, you are basically just going over the things that you know and you like to learn about, and although this might be enjoyable, it's not going to help you in the exam. It's better to feel uncomfortable now whilst you're revising as opposed to feeling uncomfortable in the exam because you don't know anything. Let's move on to step 2. So once you have got your specification, this is where the hard part starts, unfortunately. This is where you have to understand the content. And I know you're thinking, this is common sense. Why am I telling you to understand the content? Surely you do need to know it, but you need to truly understand it. Like, it's not good enough to be able to explain it once and then forget about it. You need to have it in your brain and you need to be able to explain it to other people. That's how well you need to understand the content. Some people find understanding easy and can get it straight away. And honestly, for some people that can feel very demotivating because they require a lot more time to understand it. They need to watch videos, they need to read it over and over, and it just takes a lot more time for those people to understand, and that's okay. That was me too, and that's fine. The most important thing you need to realize is that everyone's different. You can't compare yourself to the next person because everyone learns differently. If you do, then you're going to feel demotivated. You're not going to focus on yourself, you're going to be focusing on what other people are doing, and this is a slippery slope and can honestly lead to burnout. So please, as hard as it is, don't compare yourself to other people. The first thing that you need to do in order to maximize your chances of improving your grade and getting a grade 9 is find out what kind of learner you are. Some people are visual learners, some people are auditory learners, some people like to watch videos, some people like to write things down, draw diagrams, speak out loud. There's different kinds of learners, and once you find out what type you are, or if you're a combination of types, this will speed up your revision a lot. For me, I'm a combination of visual and artistic. I really like learning things by seeing it, by watching videos, especially when these videos explain concepts and when they have animations. I find it really helpful for my understanding. Reading the book isn't enough for me, but it might be enough for you. You need to find out what works for you. In my opinion, reading the book, it just has a lot of information that isn't necessary. It doesn't explain things in a good way for you to actually understand it. It just lists it out. So I really prefer to watch a video where it actually goes into depth and it actually shows me what's going on, especially in biology when it's a concept like the kidney. Reading about it isn't really going to get into your brain, but actually seeing the process of the different kinds of substances being filtered in and out of the nephron is really helpful. Videos are really the way to go for a lot of people. And if I didn't understand even after the video, then I would ask for help. I would go to a teacher or a friend and ask them, how do they understand it? How did they learn it? Because there might be a mnemonic, there might be a special way of learning it that I haven't found out. And it's really important not to limit yourself and just revise by yourself all the time, because sometimes you do need that extra person to help you out. And after this, if I still didn't understand it, then I'll do something kind of controversial, but I would just cram it and try to memorize it just for the exam that's coming up. Obviously, I don't recommend this because it's not ideal. It's not going to be in your long-term memory, it's going to be in your short-term memory, but that might be necessary for whatever exam is coming up. At the end of the day, sometimes you need to do what you need to do. So understandably, you can do this sometimes, but please don't rely on this as your main revision method. Now let's move on to step 3, which is your mocks. So before, if you knew me, you know that once I got my mocks, I just dashed it aside, like whatever. Especially if I didn't do well, I was like, oh, whatever, like I don't care, blah, blah, I don't want to do it. Please, please, please don't make the same mistake I did. This is so ineffective, and at this point you're basically just asking for failure, so don't do this. Everyone hates mocks. I know I did. I just felt like it was really unnecessary. Like, the year is already stressful as it is. I should be revising for my actual exams, not these little mocks that the teachers keep giving. But at the end of the day, I'm telling you, these mocks are crucial. These mocks really do help you. Getting a good grade on your mocks can really boost you and boost your confidence, and it makes you feel like you're finally doing something right. But at the same time, getting a bad grade on your mocks makes you feel like crap. Like, it makes you feel like, I'm not working hard enough, what am I doing wrong? And it just makes you question yourself. And some people just throw it away. Some people don't care. Like, they feel very disappointed that they got this grade, and then they go into destruction mode, and this is not helpful at all. Before I got serious about getting a grade 9 in my GCSEs, I would just chuck it away. You would be lucky if I even looked at it twice. But then when I realized the importance of mocks, that's when I actually started taking it seriously. Your mocks are a reflection of what you currently know. It's so much better for you to fail your mocks than to fail your actual exam. And your mocks actually give you the chance for failure before your actual exam. It prepares you and it shows you what you need to focus on the most. So once I started to get my mocks back, I started to look at the things that I'm confident in and the things that I'm consistently getting good marks on. But most importantly, I started looking at the topics where I was losing the most marks. And these are the topics I need to put more revision into and more effort into. My science teacher was really lovely in the fact that he basically used to give us a little checklist of all of the questions that came up in the exam, the topics that they were related to, and how you scored in the exam. So if you didn't score any marks, you would get a red. If you scored about half, you would get orange. If you scored 4 marks, then you would get a green. And I feel like this was a really nice visual way to see the topics that you needed to cover. This is really helpful if your teachers do this for you, but at the same time, this is not necessary. If you don't get this from your teacher, then you can just do your own method, and this is what I would do. Normally we have a lesson where we go through the mocks and they tell us the answers. I would write the right answer in another color and make sure that I write it fully, like the way that the exam wants me to write it. Because the most important thing in these questions is that you see where you went wrong, you see the words that you need to include to get full marks. And all of this, although it just seems like you're just copying off the mark scheme, it does go into your brain and it does help with your understanding. And then I would make a note of the questions I got wrong and the topics they're related to see how I can implement this in my revision session and how I need to change my priorities. So what I would do is I would write 2 lists of things that I need to cover because I'm getting consistently bad marks on these. And then I'll also do topics that I've understood but I haven't memorized it. So when it comes to like asking about definitions, I could have got the full marks, but I just didn't memorize it. I'll make a list about those kind of topics so I can increase the frequency that I do blurts and flashcards. Of course, it's nice to get full marks on your mock, but at the end of the day, that is not what we're aiming for. We are aiming for full marks in our actual exams. So see failing your mocks as a blessing and a chance for you to improve. So now let's move on to step 4, which was my favorite part of revision: past papers. Now I know a lot of you guys hate past papers. You don't want to do it. It seems long. Like, why would I want to spend 2 hours on a past paper when I can spend 2 hours doing flashcards? Please, please, please listen to me now. If you aren't doing these past papers consistently, it's going to be really hard to get a good grade. What better way is there to improve your exam technique and test your understanding than doing an exam paper that is made by the people who are going to make your exam paper in the summer? Like, there's no better way. Past papers show the questions that are being asked consistently, how these topics are being examined, and also shows how you are currently doing. Think of this as your own mini mock, but you do it in your own time. You can find these past papers by searching the exam board, searching the subject, and then searching the paper. So you might want paper 1, paper 2, and then it will come up hopefully as a PDF. So you can print these out, or you can do them on your iPad, or you can just write the answers on a piece of paper and then just mark it from there. One of the most important things in doing past papers is that you want to replicate the exam condition as much as possible. What this means is, as much as you can, try to do it in silence, try to do it with no distractions, and also make sure you do it timed conditions. please, 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 I know you know the answer, but if the timer goes, that's it. Close the exam paper, because that's what's going to happen in your real exam. You don't want to give yourself extra time, because then you won't be ready when it comes to the actual exam. After you do the exam paper, in the same session, you are going to want to mark it. If you don't mark your exam paper, then what's the point of doing it? You want to spend a good time, not rushing, going through all of the questions, including the ones that you got right, and seeing how the mark scheme writes it. You want to ideally turn the way that you write into the way the mark scheme writes, because in some subjects such as biology, if you don't put a certain word that's underlined in the mark scheme, you're not getting the mark. And even if you're really, really close to the answer, do not give yourself the mark. Be strict. Act like you're the strictest examiner that there is, because there's a potential that you could get a strict examiner, and you want to be prepared for that. After all of this, after your strict marking, you might get a bad grade, you might feel defeated, but it is a stepping stone for you to get a great grade in your final exam. You need to give yourself harsh marks now, so that when it comes to your actual exam, you can hopefully get an amazing grade. And this is a key point, especially with maths. Sometimes you can look at the mark scheme and you don't even understand what's going on. You don't understand how they jump from A to B. It can be really confusing. You might feel like, what am I going to do now? Because if I don't understand the mark scheme, how am I going to understand the actual question if it comes up again? What you need to do now is try to search for a walkthrough of the exam on YouTube. This is basically when a person goes through the exam in real time and talks through their working out. If you can find this will be really helpful and will show you a different perspective of how to answer the question. And if after all of this you still don't understand the mark scheme, then it's time to move on to step 5. Step 5 is basically about asking for help. Now, if you don't understand anything, whether it's the mark scheme or something that's being taught in lessons, it's not time to be quiet. This is not the time to be quiet. You need to ask for help. And I know for some people, they can have a lot of pride, or they can be embarrassed, or they can be ashamed. Drop all of that now. Please drop all of that now, because your teachers are there to help you. Arrange a time to meet up with your teacher. Highlight all of the key points that you want to cover in this little meeting, and come to your teacher prepared, because they are using extra time in their day that they don't need to, and they are helping you out of their own free will. So you can spend all of the time on the topics that you truly need to cover. And make sure to ask a lot of questions, don't be shy, and make sure by the end of the meeting you do understand these questions fully, or at least you have a better understanding than you did before. Even if they explain it and you don't understand it, please ask them to explain it again, and don't just sit there nodding if you don't get it. Like, just tell them, I don't really get how you went from this to this, or I don't really understand why this happened, and they will understand. Once you've done this, once you've understood the topic because it's been explained to you, then it's time to do another question on this topic to test if you truly understand it. Obviously, as I said before, understanding is so much better than memorizing. You're obviously going to be revising a lot of things in the coming months, and a lot of things are going to be entering your brain at once. So ideally, you want to get everything that you're learning into your long-term memory. And if all else fails and your teacher won't help you, then please look to someone in the same department, or if you have the opportunity, then get a tutor, because this can be really helpful for some people. Obviously, not everyone can afford this, not everyone has access to a tutor, and that's fine. I didn't have a tutor and I did perfectly fine. So just try to utilize your teachers if they allow you, if they have free time. Make sure that you are very, very nice to them and you thank them for their time afterwards, because they are really, really helping you. So guys, that is the end of the video. I hope you found it useful and you gained something new from it. And if you did, be sure to like, comment and subscribe, and make sure you share this video with a friend, a family member, whoever, as it really helps my channel. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.